December 1944. U.S. Army Air Force pilot Donald Myers is flying a night mission over Germany when two unidentified glowing spheres appear alongside his plane.
Meyer described it as follows. I turned to starboard and two balls of fire turned with me. We were going 260 miles an hour and the balls were keeping right up with us.
The glowing orbs seem to shadow his plane's movements for 20 miles before they suddenly vanish.
They just seemed to follow us like the will-o'-the-wisp.
More than 100 other Allied pilots on night missions report encounters with this frightening anomaly.
These are seasoned trained combat pilots that aren't easily spooked, so they have to take these reports seriously.
The mysterious glowing balls earned the nickname the Foo Fighters.
The military high command takes this seriously enough that they actually appoint someone to look into it.
The U.S. military assigns the job of investigating the phenomenon to medical research doctor Ashton Graybill. He's little known at the time, but later becomes one of NASA's top space doctors.
He's the person who's responsible for keeping astronauts alive in space.
Investigators first considered the idea the pilots could be witnessing tests of a top-secret German weapon.
It's not an outlandish idea. Secret weapons did indeed exist during World War II. The Nazis introduced jet aircraft at the end of the war, as well as the V-1 and V-2 buzz bombs.
The Nazi V-2 rocket was the first human craft to fly into space. It was developed under conditions of total secrecy, and its technology could easily have seemed alien to pilots accustomed to propeller-driven aircraft.
It's possible that some of the reports were in fact developments or tests of weapons for airborne mines or the like that the Germans were undertaking.
But if the glowing spheres were some kind of weapon, it seems they were not directed against the pilots or the aircraft.
There was no hit, there was no airplane destroyed, which does not sound like a weapon to me.
Investigators also search for natural phenomena capable of explaining the Foo Fighter sightings.
St. Elmo's fire is a phenomenon that's really quite well understood. It's produced when the electric field around an object gets very high, and it's observed as a very strong glow around the sharply pointed tips of different parts of an object, such as the nose of an aircraft or the wingtips.
But aviation experts consider the St. Elmo's fire explanation to be unlikely.
These are highly trained pilots who have a lot of experience, and many of them had probably seen St. Elmo's fire, and they know that a sphere tracking you from behind at 250 knots at 20,000 feet is nothing like St. Elmo's fire. It doesn't look anything like it.
Graybill looks into the human body for answers.
He puts pilots through rigorous testing to find out if there's any physiological effects on nighttime flyers.
Graybill suspects the sightings could be the result of a medical phenomenon called autokinesis.
Anyone who goes into an open space and looks at a star for an extended period of time will find over time that the star starts to move around or appear to move around.
When someone suffers autokinesis, the brain misinterprets minute movements of the eyes as movements of the object they're looking at. Graybill discovers that night pilots who stare at bright lights like stars in the sky become convinced those lights are moving or even following their planes.
If you combine the concept of autokinesis with what the pilots describe, then you start to realize that the whole thing fits remarkably well.
This is what Graybill concluded was most likely the cause of Foo Fighters.
Graybill's 400-page study satisfied the U.S. military high command with its explanation of the pilot's bizarre sightings. February 6, 2015. A rain of strange white fluid interrupts the morning commute across Washington State and Oregon.
Coming down, it looked normal, but when it landed, it didn't. It looked like skim milk.
The rain leaves a strange, dirty residue in its wake.
It turns out that this isn't the first time that we've had milky rain in the Pacific Northwest. Similar incidents were reported in 1994 in a town called Oakville.
Shortly after the rains, there are reports of locals being struck down by flu-like symptoms.
The remarkable timing of the incidents fuels conspiracy theories.
There are reports from locals of black helicopters in the air just before the rainfall.
Analysis of Oakville's mysterious milky rain adds fuel to the fire.
Apparently, the rain samples contain a mix of potentially harmful bacteria, and there are some who believe that this is an example of germ warfare.
The idea sounds like something out of the X-Files, but it has happened before.
A Senate investigation in 1977 revealed that the U.S. military had conducted no less than 239 biological warfare tests over populated portions of the United States. So this whole notion is not that far-fetched at all.
There is no evidence linking the government to the Milky Rain in 1994 or in 2015. Science writer Linda Wafer conducts her own investigation into the phenomenon.
So with all these theories floating around, I decided to consult a group of scientists at Washington State University. I gave the data to geologists, a hydrochemist, a air quality specialist, and a meteorologist. And I thought, surely, with all these different backgrounds, they'll be able to figure it out.
Laboratory testing of the rain samples enables the team to come up with a theory for what's happening.
The chemical analysis of the rain showed a high sodium content. That was the clincher for us. After reviewing the data, the scientists decided conclusively that this mysterious Milky Rain had originated from an ancient saline lake in southern Oregon.
Sodium in the rain explains the strange milky white color. Wayford uses meteorological data to work out how it first got into storm clouds far from the lake.
A number of things happened and they converged. So you had this ancient lake bed, pretty dried out because of a prolonged drought. Then, on the night of February 5th, a huge windstorm hit, and it had hurricane force winds in southern Oregon.
The hurricane whips up all the sodium-rich dust into the sky, where it catches the prevailing winds.
It carried the dust northward. When it hit the rainstorm, the rain brought it down, and we had milky rain.